This is Gigi Sabat, and you're listening to the Walk With Me podcast. My guest today is Kenneth Gerber, and he's an experienced advisor at Capstone Partners. Welcome to the show, Kenneth.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here today.
Such an honor to have you here, Kenneth. Now, why don't you start off by telling us more about you and where are you from?
Okay, well, I am originally from Southern California, and about 33 years ago, I moved to Utah to go to school after getting out of the Marine Corps. And during the first couple of weeks of school, actually at the Get to Know You games, I met this beautiful blonde girl, and she ran up to me, gave me a hug, and we talked about all the things that we were going to do over the next 10 years. And it was all over. I was done. We've been together ever since, and we've had an amazing life. I have two boys of my own, 28 and 24. And then my wife and I have housed over 30 kids in our 31 years of marriage. And so I love kids. I love working with people and helping them move and change their lives. One of the things, back in 2012, I started doing Medicare sales and selling Medicare plans. And one of the things that kept happening was I'd get calls day after day of people saying, I'm on Social Security, I get $1,000 a month, or I get $600 a month, which is the minimum. And what can you give me for free? And, there wasn't a whole lot I could do to move the needle at that point. It's like, even if I can get you $200 worth of free stuff, that's really not going to change your quality of life that greatly. And so I started looking around because I wanted to see how I could make a bigger difference for my clients. And I looked around at many different possibilities, and I came up with Capstone Partners, and I vetted them. They vetted me. One of the things that I found was their beliefs coincided with my beliefs, where it's more about what the person wants and needs and less about what I or the company wants and needs. So, I don't want to just find somebody that I can push a product on. There's lots of people out there that do that, but that doesn't get people to where they want to go. It doesn't help them figure out what their strategy is. And one of the things that I think it made a big difference in my life, and I like to pass it on to people that I talk to, is I like to ask them to put together a list of what they want when they retire, of at least 10 things. And so they can start thinking about those and start developing what it is their future is going to look like, because people want different things in retirement. Some want to travel. Some plan on working because they don't want to retire. They love what they do, which is great if that's the plan. But if they don't have a plan, they might end up doing that just because they don't have a plan.
That's very
So
true.
that's kind of my history and how I got to where I'm at today.
Very powerful. Now, speaking of mental health, what is one of the main issues that you're seeing in our society right now as it relates to mental health? And what are some of the changes that you'd like to see?
Oh, that's a great question. Man, I think one of the biggest things that we struggle with today is hate, and just not. It's so easy to look at someone else and say, you're doing it wrong. You're not doing it the way you should. Or you're not doing it the way I want you to do it. And when we do that, we put a barrier between that. And you can see that on social media all of the time, where, people are talking about how this person does this, and maybe they believe differently when it comes to politics, and they start going off on how wrong that is. And, I like to figure out, or talk about how 99% of us are the same, you know, our bodies, everything, so much of us is the same. So people like to pick on that 1% that's different. And that 1%, when we do that, it puts such division, which is one of the things that we're struggling with. And that does come from hate and not allowing other people to have their own opinions. And, so if we could just come together and and help people feel loved and appreciated, that would make such a big difference in our society. In our talk before, I mentioned that I was in the Marine Corps, and our military has some definite mental health issues, and most of it, when they get out, in the military, there's such a partnerhood, such a brotherhood that they feel connected. When they get out, they lose that, and they're not sure where to get it. And because they don't have that, and they have all the other, things going on, the problems that they experienced, and don't know how to deal with them. And then when they do deal with them, people are decisive and say they're doing it wrong. That creates such a problem in our society. And we see so many people that, you know, I just saw in the news today about another school shooting, and the kid shot up the school and then shot himself and killed himself. Um, and these problems are so deep, and there's no easy answer, and I get that, but I think that starting with love and appreciation and just knowing, getting to know the people and helping them feel like they are part of the group will at least start to change the problems and start to move us to where we can actually make a difference.
Very true and very powerful. Thank you, Kenneth, for sharing that with us. Now, in regards to leadership, what does leadership mean to you, Kenneth?
Oh, so, leadership, one of the books that I really liked on leadership was Leaders Eat Last. And it's a military-based book. and they were talking about how, the officers should be the last ones. They should take care of the people that they're taking care of first. And I think that's really, I've had some really, really poor examples of leaders in some of the companies that I worked for over the years. I mean, they were tyrants. They would run around yelling and screaming at people and being abusive. And that's not anywhere close to leadership. They might have been in charge, but being in charge and being a leader are nowhere close to the same thing. Leaders are people who the people that they work with want to follow them. Leaders are people who help people to be their best self. When you create somebody's best self for them, it makes them go the extra mile for you. I mean, they want to do more. They want to do better. They're going to be in your corner, and that's where you're going to get the most out of them, is helping them to learn and become more.
I love it. Now, in regards to financial wisdom, what does financial wisdom mean to you?
So financial wisdom, that is, here again, that's a great question. And my mind starts going in so many places at once. You know, I think one of the biggest things for financial wisdom is putting together a strategy, because so many people just, whatever comes is going to come, and they don't put together a future. They don't put together a plan. They don't have a clear view of what they want. And if you don't have a clear view of what you want, you're not going to get to where you want to go. I mean, if I'm going to go on a road trip from, Utah to California, and I don't know, I know I'm going to go southwest. And if that's all I know, I'm probably not going to end up where I want to be.
Now, what if someone feels stuck right now financially, Kenneth? What message do you have for that particular individual?
So, I mean, especially right now with how the cost of everything has, skyrocketed, a lot of people are feeling like they are behind financially, or they're not where they want to be. And, it's really important to put together a plan with somebody who knows, what the numbers need to look like. Because when you're walking through these numbers, there are things that you won't know to account for. And if you don't account for them, they'll make a huge, huge difference for you or your family. I mean, I don't know what one of the things that I found out recently was that 1 out of 4 people that are age 20 will be on disability for some part of their working life. 1 in 4. That's a lot of people. And, it's not like they're going to be on it for 20 years. A lot of them, it's just for a year, or, the average is like 4 years that people are on disability. And it could be because of an accident, or a sporting injury. There's all kinds of reasons it could happen. But 1 out of 4 of you are going to have that experience. And if you're not ready for that, I mean, that's a lot of people lose their house, not because someone died, but just because their income got interrupted due to something like a disability. And, how many of you could keep your home? And, if you're one of the lucky ones and you have the long-term disability, that usually only pays 80% of your income. So if you can't live off of 80% of your income, you're going to be in trouble. And if you don't have anything, you're going to be in even more trouble, right?
Very powerful statement. Thank you, Kenneth. Now, Kenneth, do you have any last words for the audience?
I am very excited about what you're doing and the things that are, that you're giving these people this information. Because one of the biggest problems with our society is information is everywhere, yet there is so much information, we don't know what information is correct and which is not. And we can get stuck in the weeds with all the information out there and not knowing what is actually true. And so you put out correct information from professionals, and that is really important to people. And so I hope that the people that are listening to me today will take the chance to go ahead and listen to professionals and get the help that they need so that they can live with purpose and that they can have a strategy in place that gets them to the life that they want.
Thank you, Kenneth. I appreciate your kind words, and I receive it. Where can the audience find you, Kenneth?
So my email address is kgerber@financialguide.com. And I am on LinkedIn at Kenn Gerber, and Ken with two N's. And then I'm also on Facebook, and you can find me at Kenn Gerber there. So
thank you, Kenneth. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to check out Kenneth on all of his social media platforms and also his website. That's www.capstonepartnersfinancial.com. And Kenneth, thank you again for being a guest on the Walk With Me podcast. You have a blessed day.
Thanks. You too.
God bless.
God bless.